Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is INDRA SURYA PERMANA. I am one of presenter at Cico International Scientific Conference. Welcome to my presentation and let's get started.
Our research title is Effect of Social Media Network User Growth and Consumer Confidence Index to Fintech Lending Loan and Lender Account Growth, authored by me, Cucu Handayani and Susi Widyastuti. Okay. First of all, we would like to discuss about financial technology, and one of good innovation in financial technology that has grown rapidly, especially in Indonesia, is peer-to-peer or P2P lending, or simply called Fintech Lending. OJK, as official government financial service authority, records that as of May 2020, there were 161 fintech companies in Indonesia. But before we get to discuss about P2P or fintech lending, first of all, the overview in Indonesian economy by KPMG 2018 stated that Indonesia as a country with the largest economy in Southeast Asia with total population more than 270 million people, 38% of them remains unbanked or low financial inclusion. Mr. President stated that to increase the literacy and financial inclusion indexes in Indonesia, he has directed the Indonesian government to prioritize the expansion and ease of access to formal financial services at all levels of society. Therefore, in this case, peer-to-peer or fintech lending played an important role to increase financial inclusion rates. Okay, next is why P2P or fintech lending. First, as alternative for investor and investation diversification. Data from OJK stated that P2P lending showed highly positive trend with total accumulation loan distributed raised about 186% from only 37 trillion rupiah in 2019 to 106 trillion rupiah in 2020 across Indonesia. Second, good investment returns because it has better than conventional bank deposit rate with good investment return. Indeed, this business attracted both local and foreign investors. There were about 1,028 foreign unique lender disbursed loan up to 51 foreign direct investment and 110 local P2P companies with foreign outstanding loan reached up to 4.68 trillion rupiah from 13.75 trillion rupiah of total outstanding loans in Indonesia. Third reason is minimum risk to investors, because fintech lending can distribute the fund to many people with low nominal rate, and then lender can choose which borrower to get funded based on their preferences. Okay, next is overview of fintech lending in Indonesia in 2020. As regulated by Financial Service Authority or OJK, based on Regulation Number 77 year 2016 about information technology-based money lending and borrowing services, OJK reported there were total 161 fintech or P2P lending companies divided into 25 registered company and the rest 136 licensed company, with top 10 platform P2P lending in Indonesia based on data from KPMG. All of this company facilitated by association, namely Asosiasi Fintech Pendanaan Bersama Indonesia or Indonesia Joint Funding Fintech Association, AFPI, that was an appointed official by OJK. And this is information about local lender account growth divided into lender account from Java and lender account outside Java. We can see that lender account from Java increases rapidly in the past 2 years, and foreign lender account growth as well. And this is a P2P lending overview. Left graph is accumulated loan disbursed from Java and outside Java. As per December 2018, there were about 19.62 trillion rupiah loan disbursed, and in the next year it raised up to 69.82 trillion rupiah, and as for April 2020 it raises up to 90.88 trillion rupiah. As for accumulated loan disbursed from outside Java, it raises as well year on year. In December 2018, there were only 3.05 trillion rupiah, and the next year, December 2019, there were 11.67 trillion rupiah, and as for April 2020, there were about 15.18 trillion rupiah. Meanwhile, the number of lender account increasing year on year. From 2018 in December, the local lender account is 155,000, and for lender account outside Java is 50,000, and foreign lender account is about 2,000. While in December 2019, it raised up to 500,000 as for local lender account from Java, and 100,000 from outside Java, and foreign lender account increased up to 3,700. And the next year, in April 2020, the local lender account from Java raised up to 534,000, and for local lender account from outside Java raised up to 109,000, and for foreign lender account raised up to 3,800. Okay, according to PwC summary, there are 6 key takeaways from Indonesia's Fintech Lending. First, unique ecosystem with its market and regulation. The evolution of Indonesia's fintech lending, even though similar, it's not necessarily comparable to other countries. Majority of underserved individual and small medium enterprise with limited physical and data access create differentiated business models. And second, cross-industry collaboration. Industry collaboration should be done between every stakeholder, including business handler and government and the others. As industry grows, balancing demand and supply in the platform becomes crucial. Through collaboration with financial institutions and also technology companies, every players may have some stable source of funder, while also increasing wider use case of their loan portfolio. The next is stable financing of a loan portfolio. Fourth keys is approach to so-called credit invisible. From 2018, user at least 70% come from the credit invisible. What is credit invisible? Credit invisible are individual and micro and small medium enterprises which previously had no credit history or credit access. There are also huge untapped opportunities, especially outside Java and in specific sectors. Fifth
takeaways is integrated database. An integrated lending database is potentially required to prevent misconduct, especially over leveraged debt behavior. Yes, debt financing appears to be one of the top 3 loan purposes, indicating the potential for over-leveraged debt behavior. However, this behavior may arise from conventional to online lending. And last is good 90-day success rate loan settlement, or simply called TKB-19. This is a non-performing loan rate. The non-performing loan rate in fintech lending is as good as conventional bank rate because the growth of loan disbursement is subsequently followed by the growth of NPL. In this case, OJK is currently implementing the TKB-90 to ensure players disclose their loan performance, which may prevent irresponsible disbursement or loan disbursement. In the future, there will be more transparency to ensure credit sustainability. As you can see here, there is 90-day successful rate and non-performing loan graph between December 2018 to April 2020. The TKB-19 decreases, but it's still above 95%, as well as non-performing loan is still below 5% or barely touch 5%, and it is still normal. So the fintech lending in Indonesia still attracted more and more investors. Why? Because the fintech lending rely on social media network and as well as social media video like Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. There is a Facebook active user group as well as the other social media in Indonesia. We picked the 4 biggest social media in Indonesia, namely Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram, because most of Indonesian people use these 4 applications. As you can see here in the graph, between December 2018 to April 2020, the Facebook user decreased between November 2019 to January 2020, but it increased between January 2020 up to April. But the other social media decreased its daily user growth, namely YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. Fintech lending rely on digital technologies. So in this case, the increase of fintech lending use rely on social media user. Here you can see social media active user growth in Indonesia between December 2018 to April 2020. We have 4 biggest apps in Indonesia, namely Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram, which you can see the Facebook user is still increased, especially between December 2019 to April 2020. While the other social media is rather stable. In the other hand, we have economic confidence index to observe how people in Indonesia treat the economic condition, especially during the pandemic. In this case, you can see the scale or the index below 100 it is say pessimistic, and above 100 is say optimistic. During the pandemic, namely between April 2020 up to now, the confidence index in Indonesia decreases as well as the other countries. But as you can see, it rebounds
between June 2020 to up to now. We have three economic confidence index, namely confidence index or EKK, and then current economic condition index or EAK, and the economic outlook index or EKA. This data is provided by Bank Indonesia, Central Bank of Indonesia. As for literature review, we have several previous research by Crooks, Jagtiani, Korivi, and Fulanovic with the title of Important Factor Determining Fintech's Loan Default, Evidence from Lending Club Consumer Platform. And second, the second research by Zhao, Zhang, Li, and Xiong with the title Does Irrational Lead to Higher Returns? Evidence from the Chinese P2P Lending Market. And the third, J. Zhou, Li, Wang, Ding, and Xia with the title Default Prediction in P2P Lending from High-Dimensional Data Based on Machine Learning, as well as the rest three research by Piskin and Kus, He, Qin, and Zhang, and the last by Zhang, Jia, Diao, Hai, and Li. The interesting things came from research by Piskin and Kus. They observed about Islamic online P2P lending platform, while the research from He et al. Said about investor attention and platform interest rate. And the last is talk about research on credit scoring by fusing social media information in online peer-to-peer lending. Is partially square structural equation modeling, and this is a variables instrument. We have four variables, namely two independent variables and two dependent variables. The first independent variable is social media user growth with four construct variables, namely Facebook user, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram with percentage values. And the next independent variable is confidence index or economic confidence index with three construct variables, and the values are indexes. And the first dependent variables is total loans with two construct variables, namely total loan from Java and outside Java with values of currency in Indonesian rupiah. And the last dependent variable is lender growth with three construct variables, namely lender account from Java, outside Java, and foreign lender account with number values. This is a data analysis model. First of all, we conceptualize the model through theory and previous research, and then we develop hypotheses, and we determine proper algorithm analysis, and to determine resampling and measurement method. The next step is designing path diagram to estimate all parameters, and then we evaluate the model to test the hypothesis, and then we have the conclusion. And this is the structural model developed in this research. We have, as explained before, two independent variables and two dependent variables. In this case, social media growth impacted the confidence index and total loans as well as lender growth, while confidence index has effect to total loans and lender growth. Total loans as dependent variable has effect to lender growth. We have here five major hypotheses. Namely, the first hypothesis is social media user growth and confidence index affect loan settlement or total loan directly and significantly. Second hypothesis to affect lender account growth. And the third hypothesis, confidence index treated as a mediator or intervening variables from social media to total loan and lender account growth. And fourth hypothesis, total loan treated as mediator or intervening variable from social media and confidence index to lender account growth. And the last hypothesis is total loan affect lender account growth directly and significantly. This is the result for measurement model, the reliability and the validity of data. As for all variables, we have concluded that the reliability and validity data are good, with composite reliability above 0.9, and the average variance extracted as well as the reliability. This is for validity testing, has good values with the values above 0.9. And this is the second result to path diagram. Social media network has impact to confidence index with the number of 3.7, and confidence index impacted total loan with t values 1.5, and social media growth impacted to total loan with the number 3.2 in terms of the values of t, and total loans have value 5.07 to lender account. Confidence index has the number 2.06 to lender account. And this is the path coefficient. We have social media growth to confidence index, as explained before, with t values 3.7 and path values 0.6. Confidence index to total loan with negative result minus 0.26. Social media growth to total loan and social media growth to lender growth has negative result as well, with the values of minus 0.68 and minus 0.38. And confidence index to lender growth have positive effect with 0.255. And then the total loan to lender growth have positive effect as well. In p-values, as you can see, we have only confidence index to total loan with the p-values above 0.05, while the other have the p-values below 0.05 as significant factor. And this is the equation. Confidence index equal 0.61 multiplied by social media growth plus error. Total loan equal to minus 0.252 multiplied by confidence index minus 0.686 multiplied by social media plus error, and the lender growth equal to 0.255 multiplied by confidence index minus 0.387 multiplied by social media growth plus 0.775 multiplied by total loan plus error or unobserved variable. And this is the result for model evaluation. We have R square, F square, and then Q square. R square to evaluate the impact, and F square to evaluate the effect size, and Q square to affect predictive relevance. As you can see here, social media growth confidence index have moderate R square with big effect size and good predictive relevance. And the second is confidence index to total loan and social media growth to total loan have strong impact with the values of R square 0.79. Confidence index have moderate effect size to total loan, and social media growth have big effect size to total loan. Both of them have good predictive relevance in terms of Q square. Next is social media growth and confidence index to lender growth. Also the total loan to lender growth. The R square is really strong here. You can see the R square values have 0,929, and as well as the effect size. Three of them have big effect size, and the last, as for predictive relevance, they have also good predictive relevance. From social media to total loan, we accept alternative hypothesis, but from confidence index to total loan, we reject it. And for hypothesis 2, or the second hypothesis, the confidence index still rejected the alternative hypothesis, while social media user growth to lender growth accepted alternative hypothesis. And the third hypothesis, both confidence index as intervening or mediation variable rejected alternative hypothesis. And fourth hypothesis, from social media and confidence index mediated by total loan, both to lender growth. As for social media, accepted the alternative hypothesis, and from confidence index through total loans to lender growth rejected alternative hypothesis. And last hypothesis from total loan directly affect to lender growth accepted alternative hypothesis. So the conclusion, social media network user growth or social media growth in Indonesia has negative effect both to consumer confidence index and to total loan, also distributed through P2P lending. This means that the bigger social media user growth, then it could decrease consumer confidence index, and also could decrease total loan distributed through P2P lending. This can happen because people in social media interact each other, so they will ask, for example, their relatives, their friends about the condition or economic condition in this country and also the entire world, and it could affect the perception of people. And the second, for confidence index, it has negative effect to total loan distributed through P2P or Fintech Lending. It caused by the better confidence index in this country through economic confidence index and economic outlook. It will decrease people to get financing through every financial institution, including fintech or P2P lending. While in the other hand, it has positive effect to increase the investor interest, especially in P2P lending, caused by a good investment return rate. For the third conclusion, for total loan distributed, it has positive effect to lender growth. While in the reality, the number of loan is decreasing due to a pandemic, but the decrease in the number of loan did not necessarily reduce investor interest to invest, especially in P2P or fintech lending. This is likely due to the increasing consumer confidence index or increased consumer confidence, which can mean increased financial awareness and intelligence, including borrowers, thus making them more careful in terms of business decision and to apply loans. That's why many people attracted to invest their money to P2P or fintech lending. Okay, this research also has some limitation, namely the social media observed, it observed only 4 biggest social media in Indonesia.
namely Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And also, this research did not observe digital advertisement, especially through social media network. And also, it didn't observe borrower's purpose and lender decision to determine which borrower to get funded. So that would be all of my presentation. Thank you for your attention. I hope we can see each other again in the next international scientific meeting, and goodbye.